Hey, people. I said in a movie about 8 years ago that writings of Homer were ancient medical treatises purposely mistranslated, and I found some proof of it. It talks about Homer in the Bible, and it says Homer is a tenth of an ephah. And in Greek, they'll say it says Homer was the tenth of three measures. So this is going to give us a date for Exodus. But if you look at this next line up here, and the sons of Israel ate manna 40 years until they came to the in land inhabited manna they ate until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. And an omer, a tenth of an ephah is. Yeah, it makes no sense. But I came to that conclusion, just thinking it's the oldest books, and when a storm comes, when a catastrophe comes, you grab your most valuable thing that's going to be worth something when there's no power tomorrow. And it's your medical treatises, your books of knowledge. And the other reason, the only people that were writing intelligently back then were the doctors. And you can see it in this mark up here telling to read this forward then backwards. And everything in Greek they give the H. And home, O-M-E, home, and rose to bring up, or the secret, the rose, eros, the secret. And then the home rose of Aram. And so if you're reading the book of the Odyssey, it's home rose remedies, or the remedies sus. Shu is the old word for the doctor. And so something else, that you thought it was true that just isn't, is that he wrote about the Trojan War, which they've been translating as the sack of Troy. But it was originally called the Euperses. Euperses is your sack. And so when you sack a place, you go in with your purse and fill it up. And the Euperses is your nut sack. And if you look at the mark up there, it says to read it the other way. The voy, to see, and the lil of Euperses, to see your little purse. And so that's why this just doesn't fit in with the rest of the writings. If you read a couple lines up, you'll see that there's just no way. It talks about the manna, all the crazy things about the manna. And eat the man. Man is just the E-M-N, the man, And they ate the man. And then, and a homer, a tenth of a ephah is. And so this, and Homer has writ, O-S-R-I-T, has writ, and the, a, and few, and Homer has writ, a few. The double E here is turning this one into a I-U-A. And Homer has writ a few. So if you're wondering how much a tenth of an ephah is, it's a few. But a few is the ancient Jerusalem word for a sack. And nobody knows this except the real Jerusalemites. And that was the Irish limb. He's written the sack who. And so you would think this is Troy. But this is the Aiph. And this was a great Celtic warrior. And they talk about her in the wooing of Emer. And just like the Bible, it talks about cattle raids, voyages, feasts, births, and deaths. And she was transformed into a crane, and whose skin after death become Manana's crane bag. Crane bag, that's the bag that you get lower down to pick bricks and mud or whatever you need up on the roof. And today it looks like this, but I think in the past it would have just meant a drawstring bag that you would put your stuff on and hang it over your camel. And when somebody robbed you, when you caught them, you cut their nut sack off and turn it into your little change purse, your little eighth sack. But I think it would be safe to call something, beach bag, a big old bag, a crane bag, something with handles on the top. And that's why you often see this word called the basket, the eighth. and the mule cut at the basket. A mule, the one carrying the load. So in 500 BC, they knew how to read this. They knew that it meant to voy little purses, and they put it in the art. To see little your purses. So that would put, the book of Exodus sometime after the Trojan War. If we read this last line, of in his roll, a clue at the men are in oyums in oyums. Oy is a call. In columns in. And his men are in oyums in columns in had vom, had from alerts, all arts, alerts in a new Sabbath at the manacle wood from all fix the arch cannon to at all fix the arch cannon. The man with the manacle, the monocle, the man with the eyepiece had from all fix the arch cannon. The royal books had fixed the books. And the man that fixed the books, he kind of slipped off into the Mandela effect. But when I read, the manacle, it made me think of the Monopoly man. I always thought he wore a monocle. And Homer has writ the Sakhu, the Sakya, the sacrament. And so in the Greek, it's to the Gomer, to decet haunt on, try on, me, tron on. And so to the Gomer, Gomer is the guy that's always in sick bay, always having the problems. Military slang, mostly used by doctors, a troublesome patient, inept, stupid colleagues. And they say something really stupid here. They say, probably coming from the 1960s origin, uncertain sense. Perhaps from Gomer Pyle, but they plainly say that it was widely used just as much 200 years ago as it is today. And so to the Gomer, to deck it on, to stack 'em on, not 10, but deck, a bunch it, and haunt, and to deck it haunting, the haunting, something that's with you, and keeps on haunting, the try on me, trone. And so that's where they get measure from, is a trone. A trone. A form of weighing machine for heavy wares, consisting of two horizontal bars crossing each other, beaked at the extremities and supported by a wooden pillar. A large pair of scales in a town or marketplace. It'd be public scales. It'd sit out here in a public square for everybody to use. Me tron on is me weighing on. And to the Gomer, to deck it haunting, try on, me weigh on. Getting tired of Homer, always trying to get some more pain pills off me. And if we go up and read this last line in the Greek, this is the vioi. And this is like c'est la vie, it is life. Vioi, I lived. The life. He had sons and daughters. Love and life. C'est la vie, c'est l'amour. And the life, his role, the pan on. The pan on is you go to the pantry. It was the church. Pan is, the G following an A becomes the N. And the pan is bread in every Mediterranean language. And the life, his role, the pan on to manage. He managing the pan, the manager of the bread. And that was the job of the priest. And tizzy are account. And tizzy are account. And so a Tessier is the October garden, the collection. The late summer, one who takes care of the gardens. A test, the collect, Greek for collect, harvest. The garden collector accountant, one accounting for what's coming out of the garden in the late summer. And those helped on. The one who's holding that position of his gin. Gin, that's the word for the garden in the Hebrew. His gin and oiko, the household. Oiko, the household of men on. And, a household, it's not a place to live. It's more of the relations of the people in the house, and of men on. A house of men. And the house of men on to man the pan on. Those foraging onto, wandering around and looking for something to eat. And his meros, from eros, to raise the rose. Don't talk about this, erotics. And from eros, this a pay, the pay Nikes, the pay the victor. From eros to pay the victor. The one with the food is getting paid in love. Oh, the life, his role, the panon to manage. Collector of the garden account, those held on. His gin, the household of men on, to man the pan on. Those foraging on to his from eros, this pay of the victor. And to the comer, to the gomer, to desit hauntin, to haunt on, O-N-T-O-N, to haunt on, this with you, to the deck, the stack it, haunt on, the three on from drone on, the tree on from way on. And so you can see in the Septuagint that it's got some more markings here, and that's where they're getting this 3. And this is telling you to read this the T-R-I-O. And the little wave is telling you to read the I again, I-N, and the trio in, and the 3-N, me weighing on. The trone in on, reading that twice. And so that's why in the church, you pass the pan and the bread goes in the pan. And back after the catastrophe, when people were out foraging for food, and they would go to the church, to the pantry. And when you had nothing else to offer, the priest had a bad habit of trading food for sex until they came into a part of Phoenicia. And to man the pan on, those foraging on to his from eros, this pay the victor. Oh, the life, his role, the pan on to manage, the Tessier count to has held on. His gin, oiko in on, the household in on, to man the pan on those foraging on to his eros, this poi Nikes, this pay Nikes. And so that's why the monopoly man wears the manacle, and he's got a monopoly on this. And the manacle would end from all fix the arch canon. We have fixed the books. And so that's why I don't like to read anything newer than 400 or 500 years old, because the books have been fixed. They burnt all the old libraries so nobody could learn how to read this, and then they went ahead and dictated some silly story on top of it. I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.